When I was but a young man, I was wild and full of fire, a youth within my teens, but full of challenge and desire. I ran away from home and left my mother and my dad. I know it grieved them so to think their only boy was bad. I fell in with an outlaw band, their names were known quite well. How many times we robbed and plundered I could never tell. This kind of sinful living leads only to a fall. I learned that much and more the night I heard my master call. One night we rustled cattle, 1,000 head or so, and started them out on the trail that leads to Mexico. But a norther started blowing and lightning flashed about. I thought someone was calling me, I thought I heard a shout. Then at that moment lightning struck not 20 yards from me, and left there was a giant cross where once there was a tree. And this time I knew I heard a voice so sweet and strange, a voice that came from everywhere, a voice that called my name. So frightened I was thinking of sinful deeds I'd done, I failed to see the 1,000 head of cattle start to run. The cattle they stampeded were running all around. My pony ran but stumbled, and it threw me to the ground. I felt the end was near, that death would be the price, when a mighty bolt of lightning showed the face of Jesus Christ. And I cried, "Oh Lord, forgive me, don't let it happen now. I want to live for you alone, oh God, these words I vow." My wicked past unfolded, I thought of wasted years, when another bolt of lightning killed 100 head of steers, and the others rushed on by me, and I was left to live. The master had a reason, life is his to take or give. A miracle performed that night, I wasn't meant to die. The dead ones formed a barricade, at least 6 or 7 high. Right behind it there was I, afraid but safe and sound. I cried and begged for mercy, kneeling there upon the ground. A pardon I was granted, my sinful soul set free. No more to fear the angry waves upon life's stormy sea. Forgiven by the love of God, a love that will remain. I gave my life and soul the night the Savior called my name. And now, my friends, you've asked me what makes me sad and still, and why my brow is darkened like the clouds upon the hill. Run in your ponies closer, and I'll tell to you my tale of Utah Care, my partner, in his last ride on the trail. We rode the range together, had rode it side by side. I loved him like a brother, and I wept when Utah died. We were rounding up one morning when work was almost done, when on his side the cattle started on a frightened run. Underneath the saddle that the boss's daughter rode, Utah that very morning had placed a bright red robe, so the saddle might ride easy for Lenore, his little friend. And it was this red blanket that brought him to his end. The blanket was now dragging behind her on the ground. The frightened cattle saw it and charged it with a bound. Lenore then saw her danger and turned her pony's face, and leaning in the saddle tied the blanket to its place. But in leaning lost her balance, fell in front of that wild tide. Lay still, Lenore, I'm coming, were the words that Utah cried. His faithful pony saw her and reached her with a bound. I thought he'd been successful and raised her from the ground. But the weight upon the saddle had not been felt before. His back cinch snapped like thunder, and he fell by Lenore. Picking up the blanket, he swung it o'er his head and started across the prairie. Lay still, Lenore, he said. When he got the stampede turned and saved Lenore, his friend, then turned to face the cattle and meet his fatal end. His six-gun flashed like lightning, the report rang loud and clear. As the cattle rushed and killed him, he dropped the leading steer. On his funeral morning, I heard the preacher say, I hope we'll all meet Utah at the roundup far away. Then they wrapped him in a blanket that saved his little friend, and it was this red blanket that brought him to his end. I rode out of Kansas City, going south to Mexico. I was running, dodging danger, left the girl that I loved so. Far behind lay Kansas City and the past that I had earned. 20 notches on my six-gun mark, the lessons I had learned. Many times I sold my fast gun for a place to lay my head, till the nights began to haunt me by the men that I left dead. Couldn't stand it any longer with this life that I'd begun, so I said goodbye to Teeny and became a running gun. I rode into Amarillo as the sun sank in the west, my thoughts in Kansas City and the girl that I love best. As I smiled and kissed her gently and then turned away to go, said I'd send for her to meet me when I'd reached old Mexico. I had barely left the saddle and my foot just touched the ground, when a cold voice from the shadows told me not to turn around. Said he knew about my fast gun, knew the price paid by the law, challenged by a bounty hunter, so I turned around to draw. I knew someday I'd meet him, for his hand like lightning flashed, my own gun stood in leather as his bullet tore its path. As my strength was slowly fading, I could see him walk away, and I knew that where I lie tonight, he too must lie someday. Now the crowd is slowly gathering, but my eyes are growing dim, and my thoughts return to Jeannie and the home that we had planned. Oh, please tell her, won't you, mister, that she's still the only one, but a woman's love is wasted when she loves a running gun. Running gun, running gun. Well, he walks out in the arena, all dressed up to the brim. Said he just came down from a place called Highland Rim. Well, he said he came to ride the horse, the one they call the Brute, but he didn't look like a cowboy in his continental suit. We snickered at the way he dressed, but he never said a word. He walks on by the rest of us as if he hadn't heard. $1,000 went to the man that could ride this wild cayuse. I mean, a horse was never born than the one they called a Brute. The horse that he was looking for was in chute number 8. He walked up very slowly, put his hand upon the gate. We knew he was a thoroughbred when he pulled a sack of dukes from the inside pocket of his continental suit. Well, he rolled himself a quirly and he let it standing there, blew himself a smoke ring and he watched it disappear. We thought he must be crazy when he opened up the gate. Standing just inside was 1,500 pounds of hate. The buckskin tried to run him down, but the stranger was too quick. He stepped aside and threw his arms around the horse's neck, and he pulled himself upon the back of the horse they called a Brute. set like he was born there in his continental suit. The brute's hind end was in the air, his front end on the ground, kicking and a-squealing, trying to shake the stranger down. But the stranger didn't give an inch, he came to ride the brute, and he came to ride the buckskin in a continental suit. Well, I turned around to look at Jim, and he was watching me. He said, I don't believe the crazy things I think I see, but I think I see the outlaw, the one they call the brute, ridden by a cowboy in a continental suit. The brute came to a standstill, ashamed that he'd been rode by a city cowboy in some continental clothes. The stranger took his money, and we don't know where he went. We don't know where he came from, and we haven't seen him since. The moral of the story, never judge by what they wear. Underneath some ragged clothes could be a millionaire. Everybody listen, don't be fooled by this galoot, this sure enough bronc buster in a continental suit. I'm kin to the roving wind that brings the northern in. Along that dusty trail I'll take my stand. The steers are big and bold, and the nights are often cold, but I'll get by as long as I can throw that rope and brand that calf, dream of a girl in a photograph. I got no home, I got no wife, but I'll be a doggone cowboy all of my life. I'm up at the crack of dawn, and I throw the bacon on. Seems somehow my work is never through. When I get done at night, all the stars are big and bright, but then it's all of what you used to when you throw that rope, brand that calf, dream of a girl in a photograph. I got no home, I got no wife, but I'll be a doggone cowboy all of my life. The hot, dry wind may blow, and you'll see me in the rain and snow, with just an old campfire to keep me warm. I'll move the herd along, and I'll greet them with a song. So I guess that I was born to throw that rope, brand that calf, dream of a girl in a photograph. I got no home, I got no wife, but I'll be a doggone cowboy all of my life.
Easy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Back, back, back. Come on, back, back, back up, back up. Come on, back up, back up. There you go. Oh. Okay, walk on. Oh, easy. Oh. Easy. Go. Walk on. Go. Easy. Go. 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 Go.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 After 2 days in the desert sun, my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert fun, I was looking at a riverbed, and the story it told of a river that flowed made me sad to think it was dead. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, 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 After 9 days, I let the horse run free, 'cause the desert had turned to sea. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The ocean is a desert with its life underground and the perfect disguise above. Under the cities lies a heart made of brown, but the humans will give no love. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La, 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 la.
He's a one-trick pony One trick is all that horse can do. He does one trick only. It's the principal source of his revenue. And when he steps into the spotlight, you can feel the heat of his heart come rising through. See how he dances, see how he loops from side to side. See how he prances, the way his hooves just seem to glide. He's just a one-trick pony, that's all he is. But he turns that trick with pride. He makes it look so easy, it looks so clean. He moves like God's immaculate machine. He makes me think about all of these extra moves I make, and all this herky-jerky motion, and the bag of tricks it takes to get me through my working day. One trick pony. He's a one-trick pony. He either fails or he succeeds. He gives his testimony, then he relaxes in the weeds. He's got one trick to last a lifetime, but that's all a pony needs. Yeah, that's all he needs. Machine, it makes me think about all of these extra moves I make, and all of this herky-jerky motion, and the bag of tricks it takes to get me through my working day. One-trick pony, one-trick pony.
Hey, well, all right, sir, here we go there, and what are you going to give for? I'm at 25 to give 30 now, 5, put a bit of 5, another $40 on to make it a 40 now, 5, put a bit of 5, another $50 on to make it a 50 now, 5. There was a boy in Arkansas who wouldn't listen to his ma when she told him that he should go to school. He'd sneak away in the afternoon, take a little walk, then pretty soon you'd find him at the local auction barn. He'd stand and listen carefully, then pretty soon he began to see how the auctioneer could talk so rapidly. He said, oh my, it's do or die, I've got to learn that auction cry, gotta make my mark and be an auctioneer. $25 bidder now, $30, 30, will they give me 30, make it 30, bid it a bomb, $30, will they give me 30, hooter, bid a $30 bid. $30 bidder now, 35, will they give me 35 to make it 35 to bid a 35, who would have bid it at a $35 bid? As time went on, he did his best and all could see he didn't jest, he practiced calling bids both night and day. His pap would find him behind the barn just working up an awful storm as he tried to imitate the auctioneer. Then his pap said, son, we just can't stand to have a mediocre man selling things at auction, using our good name. I'll send you off to auction school, then you'll be nobody's fool. You can take your place among the best. $35 bid and $40, $40, will they give me 40, make it a 40 bid and on a $40, will they give me 40, hooray, bid a $40 bid. $40 bid and now 45, will they give me 45 to make it a 45, bid a 45, who would have bid it at a $45 bid? So from that boy who went to school, there grew a man who played it cool. He came back home a full-fledged auctioneer. Then the people came from miles around just to hear him make that rhythmic sound that filled their hearts with such a happy cheer. His fame spread out from shore to shore. He had all he could do and more. Had to buy a plane to get around. Now he's the top in all the land. Let's pause and give that man a hand. He's the best of all the auctioneers. $45 bid and now a $50, 50, will they give me 50, make it 50, bid it upon a $50, will they give me 50, hooray, the $50 bill. $50 bid and now 55, will they give me 55 to make it a 55, bid it a 55, I sold that hog for the $50 bill. Hey, well, all right, sir, open the gate and let 'em out and walk 'em, boys. Here we come a ladder number 29 in. What are they going to give for 'em? I'm at 25 to give 30 now. 5, bid it a 5, another $40 on the make it a 40 now. 5, bid it a 5, make it a 5. Yes, 5 now, $60 on the will they give me 60 now. 5, bid it a 5, another.
He's a big man in a big house.
Well, when he was a kid, he dreamed about a big house on a hill, far, far away from shantytown and poverty. He was only 16, a kid full of dreams when he ran away. He left his mom a note saying, "You'll be proud of me someday." When I'm a big man in a big house with acres and acres of ground, I'll be a big man in a big house with a big high fence all around. A big high fence all around. Well, he settled down in a great big town and he worked so hard. But the harder he'd work, the more he'd spend, it seemed. And all his newfound friends, they made fun of him and said, "Come along, and we'll show you how you can fulfill all your dreams. You'll be a big man in a big house with acres and acres of ground. You'll be a big man in a big house, a big high fence all around. A big high fence all around." He was just 21 when a loaded gun was his downfall. For he joined the gang, he did something he shouldn't do. Then one rainy night the police came by and they took him in. And the judge said, "Son, there's a place for kids like you." Now he's a big man in a big house with acres and acres of ground. Yes, he's a big man in a big house with a big high fence all around. A big high fence all around. And acres of ground. A big high fence all around.
While Cat Kelly, looking mighty pale, was standing by the sheriff's side. And when that sheriff said, "I'm sending you to jail," Wildcat raised his head and cried, "Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in, let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in, let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't
fence me in, just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences and gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Give me land, lots of land, under starry skies. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in, just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences and gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in.
If I had $1 million,
if I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you a house.
I would buy you a house.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
buy you furniture for your house.
maybe a nice Chesterfield or an ottoman.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you a K car.
a nice Reliant automobile.
And if I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. If I had $1 million,
I'd build a tree fort in our yard.
if I had $1 million,
You could help, it wouldn't be that hard.
if I had $1 million,
Maybe we could put like a little tiny fridge in there somewhere.
we could just go up there and hang out.
Like open the fridge and stuff, and there always be foods laid out for us with little pre-wrapped sausages and things. They have pre-wrapped sausages, but they don't have pre-wrapped bacon.
Well, can you blame them?
Oh yeah.
If I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you a fur coat.
but not a real fur coat, that's cruel.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you an exotic pet.
yep, like a llama or an emu.
And if I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you John Merrick's remains.
ooh, all them crazy elephant bones.
And if I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. If I had $1 million,
We wouldn't have to walk to the store.
if I had $1 million,
Now we'd take a limousine 'cause it costs
if
more.
I had $1 million,
We wouldn't have to eat Kraft dinner.
but we would eat Kraft dinner
Of course we would. We just eat more.
and buy really expensive ketchups with it.
That's right. All the fanciest Dijon ketchup.
if I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Well, I'd buy you a green dress.
But not a real green dress, that's cruel.
And if I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Well, I'd buy you some art.
A Picasso or a Garfunkel.
If I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Well, I'd buy you a monkey.
Haven't you always wanted a monkey?
If I had $1,000,000, I'd buy your love. If I had $1,000,000.
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 I'd be rich.
If I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Well, I'd buy you a house.
I would buy you a house.
And if I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Buy you furniture for your house.
Maybe a nice Chesterfield or an ottoman.
And if I had $1,000,000.
If I had $1,000,000.
Well, I'd buy you a K car.
A nice Reliant automobile.
And if I had $1,000,000, I'd buy your love. If I had $1,000,000.
I'd build a tree fort in our yard.
If I had $1,000,000.
You could help, it wouldn't be that hard.
If I had $1,000,000.
Maybe we can put like a little tiny fridge in there somewhere.
Well, we could just go up there and hang out.
Like open the fridge and stuff, and there'll always be foods laid out for us with little pre-wrapped sausages and things. They have pre-wrapped sausages, but they don't have pre-wrapped bacon.
Well, can you blame them?
Yeah.